Well, good morning, man. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming on. It's another sunny day, and you're stuck in the office, and
In
I
the
have
office working?
I have nothing but time. I mean, I'm busy on one end of my life, but the other end of my life, we're doing a lot of teaching the kids how to do stuff that apparently the education system won't. Got Bo on two wheels yesterday, which was kind of exciting for her. Although I had
Yeah,
to kind
it's
of go ahead.
no, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say
had
it's kind of like a blessing in disguise having the kids home, right? I mean, it's like not you want to be working, you're essential in my opinion, and every single other person I'm guaranteed in Manitoba thinks that you should be essential. But spending time with the kids at that age is pretty fun too.
You know what? The fact that this is our third lockdown from work, and this is as much as it sucks. I mean, again, I'm fortunate that I'm also doing something else, but the time with the kids is something that I never realized I didn't have because I work a lot. I'm always go 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 go. So I mean, I'm taking advantage of that, and lots of people might be complaining about the homeschooling part. Which, honest to Christ, if it's kindergarten and grade two, if I can't wrap my brain around doing that, then there's something wrong with me.
Are you
But
started
it's
in a second grader, right? That'll be the next episode.
tell you what, some of these poems that the names of the types of poems I can't even pronounce, but we're figuring it out. And talking about that, talking about how the world is kind of taking a big turn to the left that no one was ready for, and it keeps on shooting to the left and shooting to the left and shooting to the left. Can anybody plan anything these days? Really?
I don't know how.
And
Zero.
that
We had summer plans figured out. We thought last year completely out the window. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how far in advance you can plan that right now.
I don't think we can plan anything. I mean, and I think that's the problem. We're so I'm a planner. You're a planner. I mean, as long as I've known you, and how long have we known each other? Christ, you were in your
You,
20s.
I first got introduced to you. You were working at Hair Today in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
When was that? And you had just started.
22 years ago.
There you go. Because I remember I was getting my hair cut by Kurt in the mall,
Yep.
and he was busy for whatever reason, and so they threw me at you, and here we are, 22 years later. And I've probably only cheated
It's
on you maybe a handful of times in that time.
well, and and it's relationships. Some of them age like a fine wine. Others like a jug of milk. But I mean, ours has gone the wine road, I think, which is nice.
Yep,
Um,
definitely.
but you know what? And you've gone from doing what you used to do to getting into an industry that my dad was in for 30 plus years. Um, and again, when we talk about the future and we talk about how can you even look forward, I mean, you sell life insurance, you deal with investments, you're helping people with their money, and that's one thing that people are lacking right now. I mean, if someone was investing, there's nothing left. Some people have nothing left, and the idea of putting away for the future is almost impossible when you have nothing today. I mean, what kind of option does somebody have if they're trying to think about 65 and they're 35? What can they do? Like you're at that age right now where if you had just been furloughed a few times, you just lost your job a couple times, or your job doesn't exist anymore, and you're still trying to think about the future. How does someone do that? Like if I've been investing for the last 15 years since I was 20, now what? Do you stop? Do you pause? Do you pack it in? Do you cash it in? Like what have people been doing? What's have you noticed a change in what you do?
No, no, actually, last year when the lockdown first happened in the world, Manitoba, Brandon had no clue what was going on, including myself. Things were quiet. Like phones stopped ringing, appointments were canceled. All the companies I deal with, which is every company across the board, they were like, no, no in-person appointments, only video calls or over the phone. And then once things started kind of rolling out, CERB happened, things people realized that maybe it wasn't as bad as it seemed on the news at the beginning, at least. I'm not saying it's not bad, but I mean, it seemed like the world was going to end right at the beginning. Nobody knew what the hell was going to happen. People started. A lot of people paused their investments. A lot of people. Nobody paused their life insurance. I think if anything, they probably thought maybe I should get some more because they didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And as the months rolled on, CERB happened. People were getting their business loans from the government and everything else that was going on. Essential things started opening up again. investments started flowing because the markets had crashed. March last year, huge crash,
Mhm.
30% down in pretty much a matter of 48 hours. Rebounded super quick, which is great. And then people started realizing, oh shit, you know what? If this happens again, I really don't have anything saved. What am I going to do if I don't get served? What's going to happen? And so people started really asking a lot of questions about investing. If I need it next year, am I able to access it? The answer is yes. Of course you can. It's your money. You can do what you need. And so I actually opened up more TFSA accounts last year than I probably had in my whole career combined. Just people looking
Really?
for the future and trying to secure themselves. And people always think you need like so much cash just to start one. It's like no, you can start out, you can start depositing like $25 a month. Like there's little, you can do whatever you need to do um, to start saving. But if you don't start, then you're definitely gonna have nothing.
Well, the thing is, and I started, I was in the same, like my dad, and that was driven into us from the age of 16. Put something away, 10%, whatever you can afford. And I think my investment started at $20 a paycheck, then it went to 40, then it went to 80, then it went to 160, and then it just sort of, you multiplied it just to see it grow. And it's there. You use it, you have it. If you need to use it, if you have to dip into it, sadly some people had to. But I mean, the idea of investments is alien to most people. They see a lot of they see a lot of shit on TV. They're looking at Facebook, they're looking at everything from day trading to cryptocurrency. I mean, my old man used to tell me, he goes, listen, if you've got money to lose, throw it in the stock market and play with that. The money you want to invest it into something safer and let it grow.
Right.
I think that mindset might have changed because it's exciting. I mean, you look at crypto and what that's doing, and I mean, I've seen my crypto skyrocket to the moon, and then I've seen it just slowly disappear, and then bang, it goes straight up again. Like, it's exciting, but it's scary because you want to sell it when it's high. Be like, God, this is going to climb. It's going to go, 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 and
Yeah.
then 24 hours later, damn it, I was so
40,
close.
30% down. Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, it's frustrating, but it's fun, and I think that's the. Some people want to go and hit the VLTs, knock yourselves out. You want to take that same amount of bullshit you're going to blow on the slots, which I'm guessing people probably throw $100 a day at those things, and you put that into something you can play with. It's a lot like gambling. It is gambling, really. It is. If you put that into that and you can see your growth happen, it's like the most responsible form of gambling I've ever seen. And I don't
Calculated
know,
risk.
it's calculated risk. I mean, yeah, you're right. But it's the sort of thing that I'm seeing younger people get into. Like, a couple guys I work with, they're, in their 20s. And when I was in my 20s, I knew that I had just my CI funds, and it was just money going, and that was it. I'm seeing people in their 20s talking about investments. I've never seen this in all the years that I've been around the game and growing up with it, with dad in it, my whole family's in it. I mean, I almost got into it. I took all the courses, but it wasn't my game. Um, I've never seen young people so excited about investing money. Is it because they're seeing the social media blowing it up? Is it because they're
Yep.
actually seeing money growth? Is
Yep.
it a good thing?
And they can do it right here in your hand. You get a cell phone in your hand.
Yeah.
And when we were 20 years old, that wasn't an option. To get into investments, you had to go sit down, probably make an hour and a half appointment, sit down at a desk with somebody, talk about some stuff that you really never heard much about before because nobody talked about it. Internet was there, but I mean, social media wasn't there to talk about financial futures and stuff like that. You just heard about RSPs in school. You heard your parents have a pension at work because that's just how things were growing up at that time. And nobody talked about anything else. Finances were a secret. Nobody wanted to talk about how much gains they made. They didn't want to hear that you made, damn, I don't even know what percentage Doge went up this year, a million percent on, it wasn't a million, but a million percent on Doge. Like, it's
Yeah.
common knowledge now. And that wasn't the game back in the day where generation now, it's all over Facebook. You Google cryptocurrency once and your newsfeed is going to be filled with different options to buy. And it's easy
And
to get
everything is
into.
the best thing to buy. And
Everything's
everything is the
always
best thing to
best.
buy.
Yeah.
It's always the best. This is
Yeah.
the best thing to buy. Make sure you're buying Doge. Make sure you're buying whatever Musk is buying right now. And hey, you
Exactly.
know what? The guy's not dumb. He buys what whatever he buys turns to gold. I mean, he's got the Midas touch. Whatever he does turns to gold until he decides he doesn't want it anymore, then it dumps. I mean, when I
He's
was,
pissed a lot of people off yesterday.
what do you do?
He tweeted that Tesla will no longer accept Bitcoin, and crypto just skyrocketed down,
Is that what
just
happened to my
crashed.
crypto?
It's gone up today. Today is May 14th. I'm not sure when this will be live, but May 13th and 12th, yeah, it took a big nosedive thanks to him. And
I
so
love
people
Elon.
are thinking he's playing games, he's trying to manipulate the market, trying to sink the price so he buys in more. I'm not sure, but Tesla at this very moment is not accepting Bitcoin.
Wow. Well, I mean, and we've seen that happen with GameStop and all these other things where was it the Redditors just decided to pump it and dump it?
Yep, exactly.
But that's something that's been happening for years anyway. It just wasn't happening by Reddit people. Like there
Never, and
were
not to that extreme.
no,
I'm
no, but there were people whose careers were built on pump and dumps, just blowing something up and then getting out as fast as they can.
Yeah,
But it was done on Wall Street.
yeah, and it still is, and that's why these people are getting mad because they were manipulating the markets. They would dump a couple $1 billion in. Everybody, the value would skyrocket overnight, and so then the regular guy like you and me would be like, "Oh, this looks like a promising investment. Let's put a couple bucks into it." And then they pull out their big investment after everybody else puts their couple bucks in, and it just drops. For every
Yep.
winner, there has to be a loser in everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's you're at the mercy of people that know more than us about how to manipulate the system. I mean, it's there are some safe bets. I mean, Christ, if I would have invested in plywood last year, I would have been laughing. Like
Yeah, no kidding,
it's
three hundred
who would have
percent.
thought? Like, and I lost my stuff in harbor funds, which were natural resources. You know, it's who would have thought that that would have grown or
Right.
crashed? Like, like we're going to see a change in the market. Like we're seeing a rate of inflation that our generation has never seen. Like everything is getting expensive. Everything is becoming almost unattainable to the basics of building a deck.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
how the
scared
hell?
for my kids. I don't know what the future is going to hold. Like, I mean, what's university going to cost? What's a car going to cost when they're of age to drive? What's a house going to cost at that time? I mean, the wages definitely aren't increasing enough to justify whatever
No,
average rate of inflation right now is like 6%,
it's not even close. I
which is
mean,
insane.
yeah, but if you look at the cost of housing, I mean, if I sell you a house, if I sold you a house in January that was brand new and you bought it for $400,000 and someone built the identical house to it next door, the identical house right to the last nail today, that house is probably going to cost around 440, give or take, right? Your price done.
Right,
What's that house worth? Is it worth 440? No, it's worth what the market will bear. It's probably worth 400 because the
right.
last one that sold right next door was 400. It's we're going to see people backwards and stuff. Sadly, um, where building used to be cheaper than buying. I mean, even a deck, like to build a, I don't know if you saw that stat. It was a 200 square foot deck last year was $986 to build, and today it's $3,200.
Yeah, 300%. It's crazy.
How does that?
What?
How does anybody look at the option of just maintaining their home or making some additions or making some changes or anything? I mean, really, everybody's gonna be sitting on their hands until things go down, and that's not going to drive the price down much either.
No, and then the next commodity that's talking about skyrocketing is the shortage of gas. I haven't seen it yet here, but everybody's been talking about it. And so, I mean, obviously, the supply and demand is going to come out, and fuel prices might skyrocket because it's not available.
Well, people are dumping. I mean, maybe it's just the meme world that I'm looking at, but people are filling Rubbermaid tubs full of gasoline and put them into their
Garbage
cars
bags.
because garbage bags. Like Christ, there's a guy. Do you see the picture of the guy that blew up his Hummer?
Yeah,
He filled a bunch of
filling up
containers
garbage
full of
bags.
gas, sparked a cigarette, and boom, there goes his car. What I mean, and people hoard, and that's the big problem. Sort of like the toilet paper shortage of 2020. Like there
Yep,
wasn't a shortage. The problem was people were hoarding.
got scared.
They got scared. I mean, right now, how much fuel do we need? We're not going anywhere. There's nowhere for us to go. but people seem to think that there's going to be a monster. Like I've got half a dozen jerry cans in my garage. Am I going to go and fill them up? No, not a chance. Why? I mean, I could ride the motorcycle for $20 a month on my gas if I really wanted to conserve fuel, but there's nowhere for us to go. We can't travel. I mean, camper sales were through the roof. So, I mean, people are going to be hauling those sons of bitches around, and that sucks back the fuel pretty good. But I mean, there's nowhere for us to be. If we do what we're supposed to do, this fuel cost shouldn't affect us too much, except for the price of shipping. Really,
Right.
your shipping charges are going to go up. Your goods are going to go up because of that. So the cost of everything is going to go up. But I don't think that you or I as general consumers of fuel, did your fuel budget go up that much? Like you drive around a lot for work.
Less now. Everything can be done virtually, but yeah, I drive around for work for sure.
Yeah, but I
No,
mean,
I didn't.
you
I don't adjust fuel budget. I just do what I have to do when I have to do it.
yeah, you fill the tank, you go, you meet your clients, and it's no different than me showing houses. I gotta go, which is
Exactly.
fine. I mean, and that's why I'll if it's nice out, I'll hop on the bike because it costs me zero to do that. Um, but I think that we're going to see people. You might see people go down to one vehicle from two. You might see. We're just going to be seeing such an adjustment that we've never seen before. Like we've lived in an age of buy whatever you want, get a loan for whatever you can get, and pay it off eventually. I think we're going to turn back into a cash market where people are going to actually buy what they can afford. Because yeah, the rates are good, but if we have this much instability in our jobs, do we really want these extra payments coming out?
100%. I would say I've had more meetings in this year as well. I mentioned the TFSA part, people trying to save money, but more meetings about people trying to figure out how they can eliminate debts.
Yep.
They're talking, and when they go through and they're talking with me and they're discussing that they have this loan payment and this payment and this payment, or and they're saying like, yeah, you know what, we might sell this, we don't need this, and we want to just try to like the more debt free has been the concept this year more than anything else, just because they have zero confidence of what their job and income might look like in the future.
Yeah, I mean, lots of us
And
live on debt.
it's almost impossible not to. I don't know how anybody would start off right now. I mean, you can rent, sure. You can buy a cheap car. Yes, that's a thing. But I mean, if you want to own a home, try to have a few nicer things in life. Go on a vacation once in a while. It's tough. It'd be very hard to not be in debt, or you're gonna have to save for a long time.
Well, and there's manageable debt, and then there's just dumb debt. I mean, I, I have a we have a mortgage, obviously. Um, we haven't had a car loan in years, except for this year because finally I had to break down and get Kelsey a car. But it was just because it was time to do it. Now, did I go and buy a $70,000 car? No, brand new. Yeah, brand new. That thing was probably 65 grand. But I bought one that was 5 years old, and it took care of most of that. Most of the depreciation. We have a great vehicle for her.
Right.
It kills me to have another stinking payment, but you know what? They need something they could drive around in that's safe for the kids and reliable, and that's fine. I did mine out of need, not out of want. So lots of people are going with the want, and I think it's going to be replaced by need real quick.
It already is for sure. Anybody I know that's in the car industry right now, sales are down still.
Well, and one thing that I noticed, and this is one thing that if it was a pet peeve that I see on like credit applications, all they have is your income, your they have your income, they have your loans, like any debt payment that you have. I have yet to see a space for what are you saving? Like what's your budget for savings? Isn't that insane? That
Should be
when you're
should be
giving somebody
there.
a loan, yeah, you're in the financial industry, you're a bank or you're a financial advisor or a mortgage broker. If you are giving somebody a loan, don't you want to know that they've got a cushion in case shit goes bad?
Yeah, well, they make the money on loans. Like banks make
Hmm.
money on loans, and they don't make money on investments.
That's right.
They definitely take it off the top of the investments, but the bulk of their income, no question, billions of dollars a quarter or whatever it is, comes from the loan side of it. So they would rather you be in debt than have money sitting in there earning next to no interest.
Oh, that's true. And they
Because
can't pay interest out anyway.
Right.
because they're not
So
charging anything.
they're, yeah, and then it's a collateral loan, so they can take the car, house, boat, camper, cabin, whatever you're leveraging to buy. That's their property until your loan is done,
Yeah,
essentially.
and
Even if your name's
yeah,
on the
and
title and you think you own it, you don't own it until it's paid off.
oh, exactly. And there are people that'll put things as collateral that have been paid off for years. I mean, don't. If you really need
Yeah,
to, then you
yeah,
shouldn't be getting
scary.
that loan. I mean, if you have whatever, let's say you've got a truck you've had free and clear for 3 or 4 or 5 years, or a motorcycle or a boat or a camper, do not put that shit on your loan. Keep it. That is yours. If you need to get rid of it, get rid of it. Like my Uncle Donnie up in Sifton. I mean, he's got a pile of stuff. I mean, stuff. He's got old cars, old bikes, old this, old that, tons of shit. And I remember going to his place once and I said, Donnie, why the hell, what's with all, why do you have all this shit? He goes, well, there's nothing wrong with having stuff. He goes, because you got to remember, Quentin. He goes, if the money ever runs out, you can sell the stuff to get money. He goes, but if you owe money on the stuff, it ain't worth shit. He goes, if you get a good deal on something, grab it. He goes, hang on to it as long as it's something of value. And I
Right.
mean, it wasn't a collection of garbage. Like he had classic cars and classic bikes and this, that, and everything else. And he probably paid pennies for it. But tell you what, if times got tough and he needed to, he could probably get rid of that in a heartbeat. And there's your money. There's nothing wrong with
Exactly.
owning things. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with owning things. But people tend to just see how many payments can I handle this month? How many payments can I handle for the next 5 years? I mean, and that puts you in a tough position as somebody who's saying, okay, we need to be able to scrape off $20 a month, $80 a month. Where can you find the money to to um to be ready for the future? Like, do you go through a budget with people? Do you sit down and say, okay, if you axed out this, you could afford to do this, and this will be good for when your kids are going to college or whatever. And is it ever too late to start?
Never too late to start. Time is the biggest factor when it comes to investing, future, whatever it is. Um, you can have interest rates. I mean, it's going to swing over the years. You might have 10% one year, you might have 5%, you might have 15 or 20%. It doesn't matter. You can have that for 3, 4 years, but if it's only in there for 3, 4 years, it's still not enough. You need time for it to multiply over a long span to really make it worthwhile when it comes to investing, especially retirement. So no, it's not too late to start. Not starting is the failure.
Yeah,
I
and
had
I
a
think that
lady, and this is a bad story. I felt so bad for her. She almost had tears in her eyes. Come to me not that long ago, and she was 64 years old. She was about to turn 65. Has OAS, has CPP, not married, widowed, really get like living off of basically working full time and living off of the little bit of pension she has. And she had nothing in retirement, nothing saved, zero. And she was trying to go through a budget with me, trying to see if there's anything that I could do in a year in terms of investing to help her retire in 1 year. For whatever reason, 65 was sold in her head. And when we went through a budget, her pensions that she was receiving, even the spousal pension from her deceased husband, wasn't going to cover her debts and her bills. And she almost started crying up, tearing up, wishing that she had started investing years before. And it's like even 10 years, it doesn't matter. I mean, having a little bit in there probably would have covered her debts and allowed her to sort of live the life she wants, let alone if she had it in there for 20 years or 30 years or however long you're able to do it. But starting now is yeah, I'm not trying to preach that. I'm not trying to make a sale here, but start early. It doesn't matter who it's with, just start.
well, you have to start. I mean, and you look at the pre-planning stuff and going into the other side of what you do with life insurance. I mean, I would venture a guess that there might not have been enough life insurance to cover off debts when the gentleman passed. Um, I mean, that's the one thing that my again my dad, what he did, and I looked at it in a different way because it wasn't tangible. Um, I like to touch, feel, smell whatever it is that I'm offering. Like if I'm selling you a house, you can enjoy that house. If I'm selling you whatever, anything. If I'm selling you a donut, you can enjoy that donut. Um, the idea of selling the idea to me, as much as I was in it forever and I understood the business quite well, it wasn't. attractive enough for me to pursue it as a career, but he saw it as a very noble profession. And I remember he told me about that once, and he said, "You know what? Here's the thing, Quentin." He goes, "When you're selling life insurance, you're selling the idea. The whole thing is surrounding death. There's no way around it. Someone's got to die for this to happen, for this investment to take form." And he said the sad part is someone does have to die, but he said the first time he had to deliver a check to a family, that's when he knew that he was in the right business, because he knew that that mortgage was paid off, the debts were clear, there was money there for the wife to the widow to go on with life, to be able to keep the kids fed. And a kind of a crash way of putting it was, you don't want do you really want your wife to have to marry someone just to get by after you die?
No, of course.
And
Yeah,
nobody
of
wants that.
course.
I mean, it's a real dark way of looking at it, but it makes a good valid point. Like, really, do you want your partner to have to find someone else just so they can survive in this world because you're gone and there wasn't enough left? Like, I am definitely worth a hell of a lot more to my wife dead than I'm alive. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we've got a lot of insurance, but um, I know that should something happen, should I bite it on the motorcycle right now, today, they're going to be sad, but they're not going to be screwed. Like, what's my
Big
legacy going to be?
difference. Yep.
Dad left us with a shit pile of debt, and now what? Mom's got to work 3 jobs and try to find a way for the kids to be taken care of. No, I mean, and that's the reality of life insurance. I think is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking for the future of everybody else but you.
100%. And if you don't have life insurance, whoever's listening to this, and you have a family, don't take this the wrong way, but it's selfish. It's I mean, you're not. Don't think about you. I Everybody that says no to me and I don't need it, and they have a family, I'm like, well, the life insurance isn't for you. It has nothing to do with you. Yeah, you might be paying for it because you make the most money in the house and you take care of it, but it's so you can continue taking care of everybody else around you that needs you.
Yep.
And it's not expensive. Like, honestly, yeah, I mean, it can be expensive if you choose it to be. You want a $500,000 life insurance policy and you're 102 years old. Yeah, you're going to pay for that for sure. But
Hmm.
you need $500,000 for the next 20 years until your kids are gone. It's not expensive. It's cheaper than most things that you're probably wasting money on right now.
You know, for the people that love their Starbucks, nothing against Starbucks, but you can easily
Coffee,
burn through 10 bucks a day on coffee. Not hard to do. And if you can afford that, so that's what, 300 bucks a month? 300 bucks a month.
450 if you use it. If you use $5 a day, yeah, well, yeah, exactly, $10 a day.
Yeah, 300 bucks a month on coffee.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, what would it cost for a guy in his 40s to buy himself a $500,000 worth of life insurance to take care of his family for a 20-year term, roughly?
For a 20-year term, $500,000, non-smoker, maybe I'll say high end $50.
Are you shitting me that people are saying no to that?
People are saying no to it, man. Can't afford it.
Oh my god. People blow
Yeah,
more than that on taquitos at 7-Eleven, for Christ's sake. You know,
yep.
and you're right, it's selfish. It's insane. Like, it's you're not looking at the possibility of you not being in the picture. And
They assume
sometimes,
it's not going to happen to them. That's what it
I'll-
is. They are like, no, you know what? I've gone this long and I haven't died yet. Well, obviously, because you're talking,
yeah.
and I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, there's a lot of people that have never been faced with their own mortality, and I think that's changed this year. I mean, there's a good chance that you're going to get the COVIDs. And nobody wants the COVIDs. It's kind of the boogeyman of diseases right now. But will this, and that's another question I had, is there a chance that this could become a pre-existing condition?
I don't know. It's a good question. It was actually brought up a little while ago, and did have a couple policies issued this year with people that were diagnosed with COVID already, and the coverage was issued normal and fairly quick. So at this moment, it hasn't been considered a serious pre-existing. But as the future goes on, I think there will be more and more questions added into the application process to find out if there's any like underlying effect, long-term effects.
Well, and I can see this
Maybe the
being
vac.
where
Who knows if the vaccine will be added into it? Have you been vaccinated? That might even be a thing that's been brought up in the future.
I'd be willing to bet that it would be. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, if you're not vaccinated, you're a higher risk than the guy that is.
Right.
If you got pinned, which again, I'm not anti-vax. I'm not for vax. I'm make your choice. But here's the thing: if you were writing me a policy right now, and you know that I ride a motorcycle, if you knew that I rode my motorcycle without a helmet all the time, you might want to have a conversation with your underwriter and say, okay, this guy has some high risk shit that he's doing. Now, I've never been in an accident. Do I think I need a helmet? Chances are I don't need it. But, and is the helmet 100%? Not even close. But there's a much better chance that I'm not going to be getting crayons for the rest of my life for Christmas if I get hit and I'm wearing one, just like COVID.
Right.
Is there a chance you're going to get it? There's a chance. Did you get it today? No. Um, will the vaccine help? Probably. Just get it. Like if that's the hill you want to die on, I think I told you about this the other day in the chair. I said, I would hate for my kids to be telling the story one day. And when someone says, hey, story about your dad, how'd he die? Oh, he died of COVID. Wasn't there a vaccine for that? Yeah, he didn't believe in that shit. What? That's the future. That's what people are going to be saying. People are going to be sharing stories like this in 10 or 20 years because someone was too stubborn to just go get pinned. Like, I get it. There's fear, the different vaccines, the uh the Facebook feeds that we're getting. If you like I said, you search once, what are the negative effects of a vaccine? You're going to get a shit pile of stuff. But I've had physicians in my chair tell me that in the history of vaccinations, there's never been a 95% success rate, and they finally did it. Like all of them, even your flu vaccine is like 48. Polio was pretty good, but it wasn't 95. This one works. It's fine. Take it. If you're terrified of the needle, fine. But guess what? This might bite you in the ass later if it comes down to insurance, going to concerts, doing all these things. I mean, this could have a real negative
Traveling for
effect.
sure.
Traveling. I mean, you should definitely have insurance if you're going to leave this country, and lots of people don't. I mean, I've bopped across the line to Dale's to grab a shitty burger on the bike, and did I think to get a quick little bit of travel insurance? No, I should have, because trust me, if I bite it on the other side of the line, it's expensive, very expensive.
Oh yeah, very.
And you do that too, don't you? You do travel insurance for people?
I do. I do. Travel insurance is a different, completely different ball game. I try not to. I don't. I don't try to do it. If they ask me for it with one of my clients, I'll happily offer it. I sell for every company, so I have access to it. But the rules can change so quickly with travel insurance that it's scary. I don't want to be. I don't want to sell you something and all of a sudden you're not covered on it. It's life insurance and disability and critical illness. I understand a lot more.
Well, plus these days, I think if you're traveling and you're going into a hot zone, that could get expensive too. If you decide you're going to go to
Oh,
Wuhan, China, chances are it's going to be expensive.
not only that, every company across the boards, COVID is now a well-known pre-existing condition, basically, even though you don't have the condition. But if you're going to an area or you're traveling, COVID is not covered because you know that you're at risk of catching it.
Well, and when we talk about the risk of getting, like, COVID is the hot button right now, and everybody's talking about COVID. But I mean, literally anything can happen where it could be lights out for you instantly, and it could happen when you're 40, 20, 30, 18. I mean, I've known you long enough to know that you had a brush where that could have been real bad, and luckily you
Yep.
came out of it. I mean, how old were you? 17?
No, I graduated high school, so I would have been 19, 20, right in that range now. Yeah, had an aneurysm. That was an interesting one.
Well, and most people don't survive that. Most.
I was lucky, according to everybody else, and I'm still here today.
Well, and the thing is, when someone thinks they're indestructible and they can get through anything, that's a great example of, you don't know what you don't know until you're shown it. And there's no way in hell you would have known that that could have been a possibility. And then bang, it happened. Um, and the only reason I brought that up, one, because I know you and I know your story. Two, my wife was watching one of those firefighter shows, whether it's 911 or station, one of these many firefighter shows. And this lady comes into her house and she sees her husband, the TV's on, and she's like, "You can turn that off." And he's not responding. He's just sitting in the chair with his eyes open, and his one eye is blood red. And he looks like he just had an aneurysm sitting there watching TV. Like, it could be
he
that
was gone.
gone.
Yeah.
And that could happen to us really quick. I mean, um, you look at the vaccines and the side effects people talk about, and not that it'd be an aneurysm, but there is the one that they're talking about, the blood clots being a possibility. Um, myself, I mean, I keep myself in pretty good shape, but I've got some monstrous varicose veins in my legs. Okay, like they've just been 22 years of standing. And I was talking to a doctor at the gym, and he asked me which vaccine I was getting, and I said, "Well, I'm booked in for the AstraZeneca." He goes, "Well, isn't Pfizer going down in age right away?" I go, "Does it really matter?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "if
Really?
you can get the Pfizer, get the Pfizer." I go, "Why?" He goes, "Well," he goes, "if the average person gets a blood clot, lots of times they can break it up if they can catch it and they can get rid of it. And that's not a monstrous deal. For some people it is. But he said, for you, Quinn, he goes, you've got these veins that they're the size of markers going down my legs." He goes, "You've got basically interstates that those things can fire through." And he goes, "It would take nothing for it to go right into your brain or into your lung or into your heart." He goes, "If you can get the other one, get the other one." And although I feel like I'm pretty healthy, that's one thing I never really thought about, was the fact that, yeah, there's some real open spaces for those things to fire through. And why run the risk? It's a 1 in 250,000 that it could happen. But if I have the option of the other one, and I get pinned tomorrow, actually. So I'm kind of
Okay.
excited about that. Have you
Yeah,
have you
and
gotten?
it's funny. No, I have not gotten it yet. I'm eligible now. Yeah, like the AstraZeneca one. I mean, they banned it in the States. We're never even allowed in the States. They banned it in Ontario now. So clearly, if you're eligible to get another option, I mean, that's the option I would definitely go towards.
It's amazing how this is like, and I get how this is also feeding the paranoia of a lot of people. Um, it's not proven. It's not proven. It's not proven. Well, you're right. It's not. It is kind of, but I mean, it's our best chance right now. I mean, if you're on the Titanic and it's sinking, and there's a lifeboat there, but it looks kind of shitty, I still jump on that lifeboat.
100%. Agree.
You know,
Yeah, good analogy for sure.
take something like, Jesus Christ, get off the boat.
Yeah.
And we're right at the end of the line here. I mean, we can still enjoy our summer. We can still have we can salvage this. I hope. I mean, we're in, what are we in, week number 57 of 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. March last year, I remember is when it first like started hitting Canada. So when did we get locked down? Shortly after that, April, May. Jeez, yeah, a year now.
It's
That's
not,
ridiculous.
and the problem is,
And
it's
and
not.
whatever. This is a political thing, and this topic goes off. But I still don't even think they've done a lockdown properly. Like
No.
no, like there's so many. Okay, so you want to lock down, you want to slow the curve. Good, I get it. I get that. I understand the logic, the math, whatever it is. But you still go to 10% in a store, it's packed. Like, I mean, there's people in line all over the place. You go to the schools, I don't know what the capacity is. They're probably still running at a 30%, 25, 30, 40% because everybody
Something like that.
there is essential. So, I
Yeah.
mean, the transmission is still there. It's not, everything is still operating in some way. They closed the gyms, big deal. There was 15 people allowed in the gym I go to. I mean, they were safe
Yeah.
in anyways. So,
Well, and
yeah,
I think that I agree with you 100%. They didn't do this properly, and I think they could have done it a completely different way. This could have been done where New Zealand did it right. New Zealand definitely did it right. They locked down. Everything was closed for 2 weeks. And then you had a 5 kilometer bubble you could travel in from home. Made sense. Where do you have to be? I believe that there are certain things that being exempt doesn't make you immune. When I see people coming in from Ontario that just came in from working who knows where out there, and they're doing everything like they normally do because they're exempt from the rule. Are you shitting me? No, you get home, you stay your ass at home. and then go back to work. It sucks, but that's the way it should have been. If they're going to do a lockdown, this is not a lockdown. Roughly 10% of the workforce was locked down or locked out, like the barbershops, the gyms, the personal services. The only things they shut down this time were personal services and gyms.
And
Okay.
probably the only two that
Um,
didn't need to be shut down,
if you want to,
my opinion.
well, I was talking to a doctor and I said, if I will give you $100, I think I shared the story with you before. I said, I'll give you $100. I'll go grab the cash right now. If you can explain to me how what I do, both of us masked up, sanitizing everything, not face to face. If you can tell me how what I do is more dangerous than sitting in a dentist chair with my mouth wide open for half an hour. He looked at me and was like, yeah, no, he goes, no, I can't tell you how what you do is any more dangerous. He goes, it's not. Um, but when you have 90% of the workforce still working, the guys that are, and God bless them, the guys that are building roads, the guys that are, whether it's office jobs, whether it's like all of the, look at MPI, look at MTS, look at Hydro, look at all these places, look at McDonald's, for Christ's sake, is essential. I think that when you have that many people working, and chances are some of them have two part-time jobs, so they're going from this building
Yep.
to that building to their families, and maybe two or three of their family members have two or three part-time jobs. Um, you're you're telling me that that is reducing the spread, and doing what I do is considered illegal at this point behind the chair? That is absolute insanity. And they've done it 3 times. Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And they have not done anything different.
No, no. I agree. That's the problem. I mean, you go to the gym. I go to the gym. I
Hmm.
mean, I'll talk about the gym. Even before COVID was even talked about, after, I mean, unless you're completely rude and didn't understand what's going on, you wipe down every piece of equipment you use after every single use.
Yeah.
You grab the rag, you wipe down the handles of the dumbbells, you wipe down the benches, you wipe down everything. And
Yeah.
that was before masks were introduced, before COVID was introduced. So I mean, if anything, and now then they limited the amount of people in. So gyms specifically, I mean, they limited how many people can go into your shop, everything else too. I mean, you guys were masked up the whole time. We were masked up in the gym. We were wiping down every piece of equipment after every single use. You guys were wiping
Hmm.
down the chairs, spraying down everything. I mean, you go into Walmart, I could touch the item that I don't want to buy. Next person touch the item they don't want to buy. Next person touch the item they decide not to buy. It's not getting wiped down, right? I
No.
mean,
And I
and so
mean,
the transmission is huge in all of these other places.
well,
So
and they didn't,
frustrating.
and I think well, it's frustrating because if you look at the statistics too, you can look at 78% of the people that either died or were on ventilators were obese. They had underlying conditions. They were not healthy to begin with. And they have, and I think I talked about this a few podcasts ago, that they did two things they did really poorly. One, they didn't demonize this disease enough. They didn't show us how bad it can get when it gets really bad. They described it as cold flu like symptoms with the chance of pneumonia type symptoms. Well, who's really scared of that? Although if you see what this shit does to your lungs, it atrophies the tissue. It kills parts of your lungs. It is bad if you get it really bad. Now, if you don't get it really bad, you bounce out of it. Um, and they also didn't market health worth a shit. Like, the healthiest people that I know are people like you and myself, who we eat clean, we work out, we're in the gyms with amongst other healthy people that would not be there if they were sick. We've been wiping our shit down for years because it's just gross to be sitting in someone else's puddle. And that's just been etiquette. Etiquette of the healthiest people is to clean up after yourselves. We didn't need COVID to do this. The only thing that was added was the masks. Fine, I can do that. I'll put the mask on and I'll change it because if I'm doing cardio, it gets sweaty and I end up waterboarding myself, but I keep an extra mask and I flip a new one on. It's not that hard. But when they're not marketing health, I have yet to see anything on TV that's telling people to get healthier, except for Peloton commercials.
Right. And you're just talking
But
about the physical
they're
health.
marketing the shit out of McDonald's.
Yeah, and you're only talking about
Yeah.
physical health right now, but I mean, there's the mental health side of things also.
Well, I'll tell you
It
what, the
was,
mental health part.
I,
Go
I'm,
ahead.
I'm a pretty social guy. I would go to the gym 5, 6 days a week. Normally I would come to my office. I would see clients. I would go into the businesses, talk to the business owners, talk to them, well, what I do, et cetera, like that. And last year when it closed down, everything closed down. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was at home. Gym was closed. It affected my mental health. And I never considered myself ever in a possibility of something like that happening. I was mad. I was depressed. I was angry, and it was a real thing. Um, and I'm grateful that it ended in a short-ish period of time, or else I have no clue what I would ended up like.
Well,
And
and I
how many
agree
other
with you
people are the
100% because
same?
myself, I'm all of us. We're all social creatures. Why do you think people are breaking the rules just to see somebody? Like my mother is alone, alone, and we can't go over there. I can go over there. She can't come here. We can't go there. We can't enjoy the family cabin together. Can't do it. Um, we can't be on the boat together. I
Right.
mean, the little things you can't do. When it comes to the social aspect of it, I mean, my job is 100% a social deal. Like, I shoot the shit all day. I happen to be cutting hair at the same time. And I didn't realize how much I missed it until it was sometime during the first lockdown when I think I spent like 3 or 4 days in my house coat just doing sweet piss all. And Kelsey looked at me and she goes, "You got to do something." I go, "Like what?" She goes, "I don't know. Get busy, figure something out. You need a project, you need something," because I was pacing the house like a lion in a cage. And I didn't see it, but everybody else could see it. And not that I was getting short with people, but I just, when you're just not you,
Yeah, of course.
that's the only way that you could describe me was that's not Quentin. And I went and I built a shed. I built a shed out of pallets, believe it or not. And I just needed something new. We needed a garden shed. So I'm like, you know what? I'll build a shed. And she looks at me like, okay, go for it. Cause she's seen me repair stuff and she's seen me do renos and she's seen me paint, she's seen me done shit, but she'd never seen me actually build something from ground to top. And I went to Livingstone, like to Matt's place, and I said, dude, I need pallets. He goes, how many do you need? I go, I don't know. And I don't know how many of those things I took, and I tore those things apart. And you know how hard those pricks are to take apart with nothing but a hammer and a flat, like a
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
crowbar.
Yep.
Shit, man, I was tearing those things apart to get stud wood, and I end up building, two short walls, built this thing up, framed in a door, all this shit. My Kelsey comes out, she's like, "Where the hell did you learn how to do that?" I'm like, "What the hell do you think I did before I was cutting hair? I used to build shit." So but I did it, and everybody needs something, a way to vent, a way to get out and do something. And there's a lack of projects people can do right now. If you look at people that are locked out now, they can't do that because one, the money's gone. Two, it's expensive to even take on a project. Um, this is going to have a real lasting effect. You look at people who were hanging on by their fingernails with their businesses after the first lockdown. Well, the second one, shit, man, there's nothing left. The third one, in the hair industry, there's a supplier. They're out of Winnipeg. They have sold more single chairs and single sinks in the last 8 months than in the past 25 years. You're going to see that industry change real quick.
People opening up their own shops in their own houses. Just
They're going to open up, yeah, they're going
yeah,
to open up shops in their houses. I mean, these are people that possibly had successful salons, successful barbershops for 20, 30 years saying, piss on it. I can't have a lease hanging over my head. I can't
yeah,
keep on laying off my staff because that feels like shit. It's going to be a shift. And I mean, when I grew up, most of the people had. I remember going to a lady who did hair out of her house. My aunt had one. Lots of people had them. Um, and you're going to see the shut. There's a shop that shut as soon as it announced on Facebook, or as soon as the announcement came last week. This certain salon in town, who the owner has been in the game a long time, put up a Facebook announcement. We're done. We're not resigning our lease. We're done. And you're going to see that with a lot of people. Plus, you look at the mental health of this. I mean, if you put your heart and soul into something for 20 years or 10 years or 5 years, you haven't seen a profit yet. How many people were considering swallowing a bullet last year, especially at Christmas time?
yeah. I have a few businesses that I know around a long time, especially in like the catering, entertainment industry, and that were around for years.
Yeah.
And just even after the first closure, all of a sudden you're basically nickeling and diming yourself at the beginning just to get your business off the ground. And you can't do an event, you can't do a wedding, which is your moneymaker, just to break even for the year.
Yeah.
It crushed them. They're closing. Photographers too. They're looking for other jobs.
Yeah. And I mean,
It's yeah,
like,
it's depressing. I feel bad for these people. I'm grateful I'm in
I feel
an
bad.
essential industry still.
I'll tell you what, when they say things aren't essential, I challenge that and say, you know what? My paycheck is essential to my family. Um, it's essential to somebody. And what we're going to see is you're almost seeing a class system where are you important enough to earn a living? Is your job, are you in a position where your kids can have a proper education? Because right now, the only kids that are in the school are the kids who, I mean, I get it. Your healthcare professionals, they need to be at work. But those are the kids that are in school right now. Everybody else are at home. So now you're looking at families where someone might have to quit their job because there is no more childcare out there. Um, you're going to have to make a major shift in the way the income is done for your household because you have a kid or two or three at home, and you can't, one, maybe can't afford childcare now. Two, someone has to quit their job to stay home with that kid. Um, and they're it's a class system that I think is going to hurt a lot of people, the kids especially, because how come they get to go to school and we don't? Well, because their parents do this and that, and again, they need. I'm not complaining. I think that these kids, they need to be at work. The healthcare providers, they need to be at work. Um, but I don't think that the rest of the cities that have been shut down education wise, I don't think the rest of these kids should be suffering with a shitty education or writing off the rest of the year because of what their parents have as far as a position in this world.
Right. Yeah, and even last year, I mean,
But
I know my kids were at home when the schools were completely shut down. It went well in our house. I feel bad if parents had to work and kids were left on their own. So I'm kind of in the middle of what the right decision is. Yeah, if your parents are essential and they close the schools and you have to go to school, that's fine. But if they did and you're able to go to school, I mean, because you're essential, work, healthcare, whatever it is. But then the other side of the coin is, what if your parents are essential workers? They can't spend any time with you. You're at home by yourself, and now who's supposed to help you at home? Who's supposed to take care of you? Who's supposed to help educate you, etc.? Especially when you can't have grandparents over at your house or anybody else. It's kind of they kind of screwed
yeah, you're
themselves both ways that way.
I agree
The
with that
government.
too, but I also think that the most go ahead.
No, that was it.
I think that
I just know
the
like
problem the
last.
only
Sorry, I
it's all right. The
thought
only
popped in my thought popped in my head like last year. There was when the school closures down. My wife works at the school, and
yeah,
there was kids that they did not hear from for the remainder of the year. Zero assignments handed in, zero logged on time onto the teams meetings or whatever else that was going
yeah.
on, and it's like these kids needed all the assistance in school plus some just to help them kind of get by, let alone never seeing them not having a support at home. So I don't know. It's I'm in the middle of what the right decision is for that one. Personally, I think schools should have been open, stayed open with everybody there, but I get why they're doing it.
Well, and I think the only argument that I have with that is that the parents who are the most exposed to this virus, those are the kids that are in the school. Technically, if your parents are in healthcare, they're the ones that are around this all the time. I mean, you're right. You don't want to spread it to the other kids. Yeah. There's no right answer. I guess there's no right or wrong answer. But I think that these 2 years are barely going to count for any kind of education for any of these kids. And at the
Yeah,
younger ages, like your kids are how old are your kids now?
I grade five, grade two.
Okay, ours are
So
kindergarten, grade two.
yeah,
This is when they're learning how to socialize. Like this is when their social development is happening, when they're learning how to be around people, when they're learning how to behave, and they're missing out. They're missing out bad because as much as it's cool to have your friends and play and this, that, and everything else, there's also the idea of schoolyard justice where you learn to keep your mouth shut at the right time or someone's going to pop you in the mouth.
Right.
And I think that they're missing out in the good and the bad of all these things that are part of school. I mean, we all went to an elementary school. There was always somebody that was kind of the asshole in the playground. You knew who to stay away from. And right now, the kids are just staying away from everybody. So is their filter going to be a little tweaked in the wrong direction where they're going to think that everybody's just scary?
And yeah, you're right. And on top of that, and you look at the high school kids, I mean, exams last year were canceled. So I mean, like the the effort to need to succeed, to do something, to prove yourself is gone. So I mean, our generation is much different. When we grew up, you got cut from sports teams. If you didn't win first, second, or third, you didn't get a medal. You didn't get any of that stuff. Where now everybody gets everything, and now you don't even have to put the effort in to graduate high school. You didn't have to show up for half the year last year, and you still got a diploma. I mean, what type of learning lesson is that in life? I mean, I'm pretty confident if I don't show up to work every day, I still don't get paid, and
Well,
that's something
I
that
think
these
these
kids are learning. They're
well
going to learn
these
the
kids are
hard
going to
way.
be waiting. These kids are going to be hoping. They're going to be hoping for a pandemic because the standard gets dropped every time there's something wrong.
Yeah, they get a free paycheck. They don't have to worry. They don't have to do this. They don't have to show up to work. They get paid. Easy life.
I'll tell you what, I don't think that and whatever, we're Gen Xers and we should be damn proud of it because we went through a lot of shit and we had to toughen up a bit. We have a generation that's growing up that's softer than baby shit right now. And because they haven't had to, they haven't failed. And to get rid of the provincial exams, you're not going to be ready for university unless they start dumping the university criteria. Tell you what, man, if someone's going to be cutting me open at some point in time when I get old and something dumb happens to me, I hope to Christ they're older than me.
Yeah, no question. And had to write some
Like,
exams in school. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like I don't want the guy that just got it and just happened to graduate because he was old enough and he had been there long enough. I don't want the guy that got through university because they called it in. Hell no. I want someone who either is from another country or is about 5 years older than me or my age, because at least I know they had to pass this shit. Like
Exactly.
I don't think that we've got with the standard going down, and I get it. They're trying to be easy on the kids, but life is going to hit them like a kick to the balls real fast as soon as they get out in the world and realize that one, they can be fired. Um, and even that, it's pretty hard to fire somebody these days. That's something that's almost unreal how hard it is to fire somebody. Um, but I mean, what's the win for them? Is there?
I yeah. I mean I don't know. They don't think about retirement now as much. They don't think about buying a house. They just think about existing, getting to the next stage of life, getting the next. I don't know. I'm not in that generation, so I'm not a millennial, so I don't know exactly know what the goals are, and I don't work with many millennials now in what I do, and I should because you start now, you're going to be successful at by the time you're wanting to
Yeah.
retire if you start early. But
Well,
I don't know what they look for. I don't have a TikTok account. I don't know what their goal is.
I think that they've got I mean, the average age for people leaving the nest is 27 now. 27. Dude, when I was 17, I was itching for 18 so I could go and get my
Yep.
shitty first apartment and scrape by eating Mr. Noodles and beer. And that was part of growing up. There was
Yeah.
a struggle.
Agreed.
And you can't enjoy the good unless you've gone through some shit. And these kids, like, there's a generation that, one, they're not allowed to fail. Their parents, like, this whole situation we're in right now is a helicopter parent's dream. The world's a scary place. To stay here. Just stay with us. Stay with us. You know what? Fly away, little birdie. Go, 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 go. The only way I could stay at home when I turned 18 was I either paid rent or I was in school. So if I was in school, I could stay home, which
Right.
I paid for my own education if I was going to go through school. Otherwise, you're going to pay some rent or move out. And I moved out and I moved back in a couple of times because I was broke. I mean, I was
Exactly the
making
same.
jack shit. Yeah. But you learn that you have to tuck your tail between your legs, eat your plate of shit, and say, can I come home for a little bit? and that would last for about
Yep.
6 months, you know,
Get yourself out of debt again or whatever you did, and start it over.
and
Figure
start
out plan
over.
B.
Yeah, you got to have some bruises, man. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to move forward. And I remember when I was in hair school, I was living on my own and I was working for a company that they kind of went belly up. And I had the choice of either getting back into sales, which is what I was in, or take a trade. And luckily, I got a student loan. I took a trade. I was working at Applebee's after school and I was broke, man. I could pay my rent. I ate with a good discount at Applebee's. And I don't think I even had a microwave at my place. Like I had jack shit. And that would have been in what year was 9/11 happened? What year? Was that 2000? No,
2001.
2001. I remember I didn't have cable or anything. I saw it on Rabbit Ears when you could still get that. And I was just starting my first job in hair and I had nothing. I couldn't afford to drive my car. I lived by the university and I walked down to 10th Street to my hair school. And then I had to haul ass to Applebee's and then walk back home after close. But I did that. I mean, there's some kids that have never walked to school, like ever.
Yeah, you get rides every day. I
Take
agree.
rides every day. Jesus Christ. Get your boots on, walk to school. If you're coming home for lunch, I'm not buying you lunch. You walk your ass home and you like the bike racks used to be full when we were in junior high.
Now the
That was
car
your
rents.
car.
No, that yeah. Now you can't find a place to park to drop off.
Right. But there used to be the bike racks. The bike racks were full for two reasons. One, that's where everybody parked their vehicle when they came to school. Two, that's where the fights happen. 4 o'clock by the bike racks. That's just the way
Yeah.
it went. And it's changed. And I think that the good is that maybe these kids are finally hearing no during this pandemic where yeah the school system there's some holes in that but this might be the first time that they're hearing no we can't do this, no you can't have that, no we can't go here, and no we can't go there. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe there is some good coming out of this.
I hope so. I don't know. I mean, I know they're getting educated more just from social media alone, so they understand what's going on in worldly events and understand what the pandemic is going on. Understand investing just because the millennials are seeing it on their phones now, and it's so readily available to open a Wealth Simple account or a Quest Trade or an RBC Direct Investing or buy cryptocurrencies, whatever. It's
Yeah.
easy. So maybe they are getting faster, more educated now. I mean, when I was I'm doing in my job for 13 years. Prior to that, I would say when I was 20 years old, and you asked me what a capital gain was, I had zero clue. Where it's actually a
Yeah.
conversation that 20-year-olds are having right now. Like, okay, how do I avoid capital gains? Like, so maybe there's a win somehow, a silver lining somewhere in all of this.
Well, I'll tell you what, in what you do in investments, in insurance, and all these things, this would be the first time that I would venture to guess it's exciting. The first
To
time you're
invest.
seeing for well, people are interested in it. People again,
Yes.
because the future is so uncertain. This might be the first time, and like I said, I've been around this shit since I was ooh, 10, 10, give or take. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and my dad got into it. But I've been in this forever, and I found it extremely boring. Like I was okay, whatever. They bought life insurance. Oh, you write another policy. Oh, you would. It wasn't exciting. This is probably the first time doing what you do, where one, they're interested before they come and talk to you. Two, they have a bit of a clue as to what they're talking about when they come to see you, and they're seeking people like you out to say, okay, I've invested some money in this. What else should I do with my money?
Right. Yes, you're right. And that's just because it is more talked about. It's easily accessible. You can go on Google now. Nobody comes and sees me if they don't know me without Googling to see who I am, to see if I have a good review, see what they want to talk about first. Like they're relatively educated coming in, 100%. And it
Right.
makes my job easier.
What's your Oh, for sure it does. Like when have you ever had a chance to sit down with someone in their 20s and talk about investing and them saying, "Yeah, actually, you know what? I bought this and man, I lost some money in that." And then you can pivot them a bit and say, "Okay, well, hang on a second. Why don't we do what you've been doing, but let's just do it this way." Now you get to
Yes.
educate them on something that they thought they learned on Facebook. And I know that Facebook is a great educator, but you are the guy that knows the stuff. Like, you actually understand it. You're not just going by anecdotal evidence that you're seeing on Facebook. You're saying, okay, here's, if you put in, let's say you've got $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, you've got, $1,000 worth of Apple, or you've only got $500 worth of this and $500 worth of that, but you keep on investing. You might have something drawing out of your account every payday or whatever. That's 10, 20, $30 into your Wealth Simple account. That's great. Why don't we do this? Take your Wealth Simple, keep that growing, play with that. You've got money to play with in there. Why don't you take half of what you've been putting in there and put it here, so we've got that for when you're older?
Exactly. And there's a big difference. Like when I invest, I don't do direct investing. So when I sit down with you, I'm not taking your money and putting it just into Tesla or just into Apple.
No.
It's going into an index fund. It's going into multiple companies all at once, which eliminates your risk. Where and there's usually a fund manager that works with these companies, whether I use Manulife or I use Sun Life or Canada Life to invest your money. There's a fund manager managing that. And so you might be investing in 100 companies at once with your $100 investment. And so your risk is different. Your risk isn't there because they're watching the money, they're watching these companies. And if Apple does bad, it's only a small percentage of your total investment. Where if you do it yourself on Wealthsimple, and it's fun. I play with Wealthsimple too. I like that stuff. I play with crypto for
Yeah.
sure. But if Apple does bad, my all my money is going into that one stock, and I'm the one that has to manage it, pay attention to what's going on, and hope it goes up. Assume it goes up. It's a calculated risk. You believe Apple's going to be around in 10 years. But what if it's not? What if something happens when the next best thing comes out and all of a sudden Apple just plummets? It happens,
Yep.
right? So it's going to a professional and come to me, cool, sure. But I mean, you go to investors group, you go to any of the guys, no matter what, their clients will be more successful, probably have more assets saved at retirement or whatever the goal is than doing it on your own.
Yeah, and I think that when you take a there's a reason that people will deal with you. There's the same reason why somebody would deal with me as a real estate agent. Why? Well, I understand the business. I understand the risks. I understand the things that can go right and things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you don't realize are very, very important that have to get done. You know where is a safer place to put your money, how you know the where, you know the how, and you know the why. And
And
lots
sometimes
of
the
people,
when.
and the when. The when is very important. The when is one of those things that I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it tomorrow. And then 40 years later, you're like, shit, I should have done that yesterday.
100%.
Like,
My
time.
yeah, it's true, man. Like my daughters, I've started them off young, saving their money, and they understand that it is important to save. And I mean, I'm not going to control what they do once they become old enough to start saving their birthday money and everything else like that. But if they keep up the same trends that I'm trying to help them, they're not going to have to worry about money when they're 45, 50, 60 years old. They're going to be able to do whatever they want to do at that time. And it's only because of time and education. That's those are the two biggest things.
Well, and there's a quote from, I heard a long, long time ago, and it was that um, no amount of money can buy 1 unit of time.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't buy time. You cannot buy time. And once that time is gone, it's gone. And your money's still sitting in your mayonnaise jar buried in the backyard. Well, guess what? That dollar's still worth a dollar or less than a dollar thanks to inflation. So, maybe this is when people should be considering taking that wad of cash they got and putting their trust into somebody who does this for a living and say, listen, you still have time. Right now, you still have time. 10 years from now, you might not. Life insurance, tomorrow, you might not have time. Today, you have time. Today, you can still get insurance. Tomorrow, you might not be able to. And I think that's where knowing that people that do what you do are around, um, people really need to use your knowledge. Um, Take advantage of it. You're there to help them deal with the stuff they don't understand. And they might think, well, I can just do it this way. I can just do it that way. Sure, you can. Part of it. Absolutely. Go for it. But I do think that your job is to educate people. Is it a sales job? Kind of. I think you're more of an educator than anything else. I mean, I know my old man taught people what to do with their money. That was his job. And he said, he goes, no, I show people how they can manage this better.
I don't try to sell a single product. I show you
No.
something. I give you options. I give you logic of why this makes sense. I make sure that it fits into your monthly budget on a comfortable basis, whatever the case is. I give you an out so that if all of a sudden something changes in your money, livelihood, whatever it is, and you need to stop it, okay, you can do that. But it's ultimately at the end of the day, I'm not selling it to you. It's your decision to take it.
Well, and they made the right decision not to come to see you in the first place. I mean, that's step one.
Right.
And lots of people don't
For
take that
sure.
first step.
Yeah.
So no, I think that what you do is absolutely invaluable. I think people need to seek out advice and stop using. It's sort of like doing research on COVID on Facebook. Don't do your research on your investments. Don't do your research on your life insurance on social media, because it's very skewed one way or the other. I think that you've gotten into this industry, and I've seen you grow over the past 13 years, and you've become an expert in this. I mean, it's something that I've seen a lot of agents over the years, again through the old man's office and that. Um, you've become that guy that would have been the guy, which is great to see.
I'm I'm working at it hard every day, and I hope I hope that a guy. I don't think I'm quite there yet, and I'm actually partnering with somebody else right now. I'm on my own business as of today, and very soon there's a couple of legal things that we're going through, but maybe next week or the week after, I'm actually partnering with another company. They've been in the industry 3 times longer than I have, um, because I see a wealth of information and that I'm going to be able to gain from working with them. And
Well,
so our
I
businesses are
don't know,
partnering together. Excited about it.
how much can you share? Can you share anything yet or no?
Uh yeah, yeah, we're good. It's done.
You can share. Okay.
Yeah.
Now here's what I find interesting. You talk about life coming for full circle. Um, and we've talked about this. The people that you're working for did work with my father.
Working with.
Working with, sorry, the people that you're working with, that you
Yes.
partnered up with, worked worked for my dad,
I know.
30
It was a
years
funny
ago.
conversation when that happened. We
Yeah,
yes.
and I mean, you talk about the wealth of knowledge that is there at your fingertips to pass on to your clients. This is you're in great company, because these folks have seen it go up and down and all these things that have happened. Um, I think it's amazing. I think that you're gonna boom. You're gonna be, um, as much as I think you're the guy at this point, and I've met a lot. I think that you're gonna go up so many levels that, this was an amazing decision for you, and it was
It
probably a
was
hard one to
tough.
make.
It
Yeah,
was. It was because I started. I mean, I've been on my own for 2 years. Opened up my doors. June will be 2 years that I've been on my own, and
yeah.
I had a good 2 years. I mean, I hit the Reader's Choice Gold level this year, Reader's Choice Silver level last year, based on votes from my clients. I was very grateful for that. Thank you. And I was doing well, and I wanted to see what I could grow on my own. And when this opportunity came to me, they sought out me to see if I was a good fit to work with them and maybe potentially transition them out into retirement.
Hmm.
It was something that I didn't say yes right away. We actually met about probably 6 or 7 times just to see if it was something that I wanted to leave, because I wanted to create my own path. I wanted a legacy. I grew up in a blue collar house. My dad parents still worked hard. My dad still works. He's 72 years old, still working every day. Just uneducated enough early in life. Nothing against him at all. And I wanted to create my own path, and then that's still my mindset today. As I wanted to be successful for myself, create path for me, my family, whatever it is. But this was a good opportunity to partner with Brad and Jocelyn Hiker to go to the next step in life.
Yep. Yeah, and and I definitely see. I wish you all the success in the world, man. And I think that this is going to be, this will be, it, it's something that is, it's a company that is, it's strong. It's got a hell of a reputation, And I mean that it's a big thing for them to invite you in, because when you're dealing with, I mean, there's probably a lot of decent places out there, but to be able to get invited into something that's that established and has such a great reputation, it's great. It's gold. I think that
Yeah.
you're gonna have a ton of success, and I could see you one day mentoring somebody else to do what you're doing, and creating more success for someone else too. So
I hope so. I definitely. That's the plan. Find the right person to come join me. I like being around working with people in a team environment, anyway. So my plan is to grow with quality people, high integrity, people that are easy to get along with, good team players, and are their goal is to ultimately do the right thing for the right person.
yeah,
I tell clients no, even if it's going to benefit me, because I know in the long term it's going to come around full circle and it's going to benefit me. It's going to benefit them more in the future, which hopefully, the way nature law of nature works, it'll benefit me in the long run.
yeah, exactly. But no, I think that you definitely have a lot of work to do in the next little bit with the transition. I think that you've got an amazing team that you're going to be working with, and as far as anybody who is thinking about investing or insurance or have any questions about anything that you do, they should definitely seek you out. Obviously, not the same avenue that you were in before, because it's not your original company. So what is it? How do people get a hold of you to ask the questions that they need answered?
Easiest way, phone or text 204-725-7648.
Okay.
Anything to do with financial related, um, investments, whatever, tax or savings accounts, retirement funds. I do that well. Do lots of life insurance. Every company, there's not a company out there that can beat the rates I can offer, because they literally work for every single company. And if you want to talk about crypto, that's not on the business side of it. It's a pretty big passion of mine, and I definitely enjoy diving into that.
Perfect. Okay. So, and let's face it, you're also active on social media, which you should be, and that's kind of the way things are these days. I'm sure if someone wants to throw you a message on Facebook or anything, you're open to that too.
100%.
Chris
Yep.
Latcham, he's on Facebook. He's available anytime. I know he's pretty active on there. So get a hold of. I want people to get a hold of you. I want people to definitely utilize your talents and your knowledge. And no, I think that as far as money goes, it's uncertain. But if you can help them pave a little path for themselves, even if it's just a little trail right now, um, it's going to benefit them in the long run. Absolutely.
No question. Last thing, I'll close off on that. I deal with clients all over the place. Doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, what you have, and you would not. It's amazing, and I hope that I'm in a situation at that time. But the clients I have that have been retiring or planning for retiring many years in the making, the confidence and happiness and joy that they bring when they come and sit down and find out basically that they can do anything they want, literally. If they want a vacation and they want to go buy, it doesn't matter what it is, compared to the conversations I have with people wanting to retire and not sure if they can, it's night and day. And the only thing is just time and education.
Yeah, well said. And I think you're absolutely right. The time is now. If you can, even if you have a little bit, just a little bit, start that seed. Get a hold of Chris, and I think you can help a lot of people out, man.
Appreciate it. Thank
So
you.
yeah, hey man, and thank you so much for coming on. This was fun. We got to cover a lot of stuff from a pandemic to figuring out what to do with crypto and Dogecoin.
Yeah,
So
I'm happy I got in to see you, and the last day it was open. So hopefully
yeah,
the 3 weeks is true. That
yeah.
doesn't get too shaggy here.
Let's hope that we're back to normal sometime soon. All
Yeah.
right, man. I
Okay.
want you
Thanks.
to go out there and have an awesome day. And I want everybody to get a hold of you that has any questions. So thanks for coming on, Chris. And I'll be seeing you in the chair hopefully in the next couple weeks.
All right. Stay safe, everyone.
All right, man. Thanks.